You're listening to the Young Buck Old Buck podcast, presented by Forest and Sky, sponsored by Chops & Co. Public Market.
There we go. Heads up.
Touch him up. Dead bird. Dead bird. Get him, Sky. Get him.
Good job, buddy. Flopping.
Welcome back to the Young Buck Old Buck podcast. I'm your host, Young Buck Daniel DeForge, and Old Buck is still down for the count. He's blowing wads out of his nose. We always knew he was full of it. So taking his place today, we have Mr. Will Boyer. Will, how we doing?
Great. Excited to be here.
Awesome. It has been a minute since we've seen each other. We determined the last time was doing a little bit of pigeon hunting together, and that was like clear back August?
Yeah, had to have been. Oh, yeah. Dang near July.
Yeah, probably late July. So you've been busy since then, and we're going to dive into that shortly. But before we go too far into that, I want to just give some recent news updates, kind of hear your take on things a little bit. The first thing that kind of hit my news feed in the outdoor world is there's two hunters that passed away. They were missing. They were elk hunting in southern Colorado. Went missing a couple weeks ago. There was a big search party to look for their bodies. Their bodies have been found, unfortunately not alive, and they released the cause of death today, which, again, this is super sad. We're not making light of this, but I do think it is kind of crazy and somewhat informative to know this. So, Will, if you had to guess, like what's your top three guesses when it comes to cause of death?
I would say, food could be one. Injuries, top a third. It's not too cold right now, right? Dehydration shouldn't be too big of an issue. Yeah, I don't know, about a third, but.
All right. Todd, do you have a guess?
Drowning.
Todd says drowning. The cause of death that was released, lightning strike.
What?
Yes. So they found these guys sitting up against a big tree, and they did an autopsy, and it was lightning strike, and they could actually see that the tree was struck, which then passed down to their bodies. So my guess, because they said they were 2 miles away from their campsite, my guess is they were scouting or actively hunting. A storm rolled through. They were trying to get under cover, so they got near a big tree and was sitting near the base of the tree, and then lightning hit, and boom.
Wow, what are the odds of that?
I know. That's just nuts. It's something you don't really think about.
No, not at all. No, definitely wouldn't have guessed that for sure.
So something to be aware of. I did read, and what kind of initiated the search was they had a timeline where they were checking in via satellite phone every once in a while, and they missed several checkpoints, which then kind of raised some red flags for people to go and try to find them and locate them. So if you're ever going to do any remote hunting, backpack hunting, it's definitely wise. Make sure you're able to communicate somehow, and if a storm rolls through, consider lightning strikes.
Yeah,
for goodness sakes.
For sure. Yeah.
The next news is apparently the fine government of the state of Michigan might be shutting down.
Crazy.
You learned about that today?
As I walked in.
I learned about it. Actually, how this came to fruition is I called Old Buck to see if he was coming tonight. He goes, nope, can't be there, but hey, make sure you tell the listeners that this is happening and to warn them. So here's our Old Buck warning to you. Apparently, the state of Michigan may be shutting down at the end of the month. And if that happens, it's possible that they may not be able to sell any more licenses, hunting licenses to be particular. So buy your tags now. Don't risk it. Will and I's take loosely is, listen, if you can't sell me a license, you can't throw cuffs on me for shooting something.
That's right.
I don't know. The state of Michigan, Lord help us, the DNR
Please.
Is a complete overhaul.
Yeah.
So, that's a little bit of some new news there, an outdoors update in my world. finally got trail cams set out last week, and I learned, I should say this, I relearned a valuable lesson. When it is an active hunting season and you are going to go in the woods, you should bring a firearm with you.
Yeah.
I went and I set out a trail cam in what is typically known as my turkey hotspot, but I wanted to set a cam for deer. I am putting this camera down, and I kid you not, 3 stud toms come strolling right up to me. I mean, I could have whacked him in the face. Unbelievable.
Unreal.
I was so mad at myself. And of course, they finally ended up seeing me fly across a river, and it was infuriating, somewhat hopeful. That camera did have redemption because the next night, that camera went off with a stud buck. I should send you the picture of that deer. And so we're hoping, deer are still around. We're hoping that shooter buck stays around. This whole EHD thing, I've seeing more and more posts. Any EHD news on your end?
No, I actually haven't walked any of my woods. I haven't smelled any, but I also haven't seen any like vultures. I haven't noticed anyways any vultures or anything circling for long periods of time or anything like that. I don't know. I'm hopeful that it hit me hard last year and it's avoided me this year. Many of my neighbors are kind of in the same boat. A lot of people that I've talked to just haven't been necessarily excited about deer hunting this year. So they've kind of taken a laid back approach to it. Maybe it's they haven't put out food plots or they haven't put their cameras out or they're just not really too excited about it and haven't walked their woods to really find out what's going on out there because they're disappointed, I guess, or unmotivated. So
yeah, no, I get it. I talked to Ruben today and he even said too, like, yeah, Michigan deer season just kind of has a cloud over it right now,
for sure.
Which makes sense. But, some guys have property out of state and they're, ramping up for that. I know people who own in Illinois, people who own in New York, that kind of thing. So there's still hope for that. And, I'm going to go up north for a little bit during bow season and gun season. So I don't think they have, gotten hit nearly as hard as we have down here. So, but you have had a heck of an early waterfowl season, so let's dive into that a little bit. Tell us about just your experience in this month of September when it comes to birds.
Yeah, it's been probably my best September. Me and the rest of the guys that I usually hunt with, we've probably had, for the last 4 or 5 years that I've been waterfowl hunting, it's been definitely the best. Started out okay. It started out slow. This time of year in Michigan, there's not many fields that are cut. All the crops are still standing and everything. So hard to find where the birds are actually feeding. We found some, and like first weekend, I think we shot like 6 in the morning and 3 in the evening. I think that was the Monday of, and so it was slow to start. And I think the next weekend we ended up shooting 26, and out of those 26, 4 were banded, which was crazy.
So paint us a picture of first flock comes in. Did the first flock have bands or how did that happen? How did it unfold?
Oh man, I'm going to go back farther than that if that's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find me and some other guys are all kind of talking like, okay, we got these groups going, got these guys. I'm trying to figure out, how we're going to get everybody out and all that. And so I've got a feed. I had hunted it last year for one day and I'd got permission again for this year. It had like 80 birds in it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take me and 2 or 3 of my other buddies and we're going to go there. And my buddy Drew and Riley and their dads and a couple other guys were like, hey, we've got this field over here. I loaded up. If you want in, we'd love to have you. And like, nah, like we're good. We'll hunt here. You've got a lot of guys, we'll let you hunt that. And then we had changed our minds. We're like, yeah, you know what? No, we'll hunt it with you guys. And so we ditched that feed that I had and hunted 9 guys and layouts out that way. And I don't think it was the first flock. I think we had a couple as my buddies and I call it, pair of singles. So like 2 geese come in and a couple singles and stuff. And then we had a 4-pack come in and we dropped all 4, and 3 out of the 4 were banded, that was crazy. At that point, we were like, all right, hunt's good. Like, let's.
Unreal.
Yeah. Like,
were you guys just losing your minds?
Yeah. I have some videos and some pictures of all the guys like running back. I should definitely get those out because those. It's a pretty fun moment. And then the very next flock, we dropped like 5 or 6 at least, I want to say, and one of those was banded. So all
Unreal.
locally. 3 of them were from Noddle and 1 was from Three Rivers. So
ages or how long ago?
The one that I drew for or whatever was a 2-year-old bird, and then 3 from Noddle were 1-year-old birds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit. You said you drew for it. How does that work?
Yeah. So we were, like I said, my buddies' dads were there, and they're like, we don't need bands. They weren't too excited about it, which was cool for me. And then there was another guy who was really cool about it. Gavin, he was like, I don't feel like I really did too much to work for this hunt. It's not my field. Like, I just kind of showed up, and he was like, I don't need to be in it. So the one guy whose feed it was and permission it was, Drew, we just kind of automatically gave him one off the rip. And then, so ended up being 4 of us left in a drawing. And so we took goose feathers and 4 different shells, and we put a goose feather and 3 shells and left 1 empty. Mm-hmm. And we put them in a hat. And we put our names on the Spin the Wheel app or whatever to see who'd go first. And my buddy Kyle's name came up first, and he has the best odds, 75%. Like he's got a smile on his face. He's going up there all happy,
no.
like, this is awesome. he pulls it out and just goes, frick, and just chucks it on the ground and walks away. And then me and my couple other buddies were just smiling and deciding which ones we wanted and going from there.
Were they all like the fat metal?
Yeah,
ones?
yeah. They're all just silver regular bands. Yeah,
that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, and so with your experience this September, silage, wheat, hay, like what has been kind of the go-to or more productive fields to be hunting?
Yeah. We didn't end up hunting a single wheat field this year. Wasn't a whole lot of it around. We hunted, first hunt was corn, and then the one we shot the bands out of was cut silage. In my experience, cut corn holds birds. Cut silage doesn't necessarily hold birds. There's not much food in cut silage. Mm-hmm. They take pretty much everything out of the field there. We hunted a couple ponds. We shot 19 of the 79 birds over a pond over water. So that just comes down to weather. If we see it's going to be sunny, we'll go hunt a pond. If it's going to be overcast and spit and rain, we'll try and find a feed for the morning. So
if you're hunting a pond, how long are you usually sitting in the morning before birds are coming in?
It was surprising, actually. This Saturday they came in like it was a feed, like just off the rip, super early. But it really, typically it could be 10, 11, but it definitely depends on what the birds are doing and whether they fed heavy or loafed heavy the day before or 2 days before. So
yeah. Now you're a farmer and a hunter, so you might find this kind of interesting, but around here there's a field that was wheat and got harvested, and then the farmer is actually trying out like a corn that he planted, I think it was mid to late July, and will be ready to get harvested in September, October.
Wow. Yeah. It's
like a quick grow corn.
Yeah, it's just a short day corn. I wonder, it makes me curious to see what it would yield and what their inputs would be to that. I know that there's a lot of guys who tried 2 crops a season, or that's kind of becoming, more talked about on the farming scene, but I definitely heard of it like with wheat and beans and stuff, but that's interesting.
It changes the game for hunters though, because what used to be a harvested wheat field they could maybe hunt over is now getting planted into something else, and you're not going to be able to hunt that field. Right. So that's kind of what's been a damper or just a factor in, I guess, into this season is a lot of the fields that we do have permission to hunt on are either cover cropped or got planted into this kind of special corn, or they were beans this year, which is just part of the rotation. So
Yeah.
it happens. But
For sure.
if you were to say, other than the banded frenzy that you experienced, what was just a core memory or just one of your favorite memories from this early season?
Man, might be like cliche or like I don't know. It's I would say just hanging out, like I have such a good group of guys that I hunt with, and we have fun every time we hunt. Like getting up and getting stuff around and setting decoys, and whether it's walking in or driving in and all those things that are work. I don't know. It's just fun to do that. I've just enjoyed that this year to the point where we've killed a lot of birds so far this year, and so just trying to enjoy being out there, and so yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, hey, let's dive into the meat of the podcast or this episode, and you have been working with slightly for as a model, maybe
something like that.
Helped stage some pictures for a saddle company, Arsenal Saddle.
Yeah.
Talk to us just about your experience. How did you meet the Arsenal guys? You are now an owner of an Arsenal Saddle and a setup. So, what's your experience like? What do you like about it, and what kind of attracted you to them as a company?
Yeah. So I was at a show in Minnesota, and our buddy Carter and I went over and talked to them. He was looking for a saddle. I already had one. I wasn't really in the market. Just kind of met the guy and started talking to him. Super cool guy named Alex. He actually hunts. But yeah, super cool guy, and got talking like, hey, we're going to be in the show in Wisconsin too. And we met up there. We played some euchre and just kind of hung out at our Airbnb and just had a good time. And the relationship has grown from there since he lives north of here about an hour or so. But yeah, I'm not necessarily affiliated with them. But yeah, so Alex had asked Carter and I if we could come up and do a photo shoot, and they had a photographer out, and we basically just gotten all of our hunting gear, brought our bows and our bino harnesses and everything else, and started climbing some trees, and they snapped all the cool pictures, and they've been posting them, and some of them are on their boxes and other things. So it's been really cool to see them post those, or to see that on the packaging. Like, no one knows who it is, or but this has been cool. And then what I'm running now, I'm running their sticks, which I actually brought. I want you to check out because I don't know if you've seen them.
Sweet.
They're actually flipping awesome. And then I'm running their Cloud saddle. So it's a fairly big saddle, but it has so many features and adjustability. Like it really is like a Cloud, and I haven't hunted out of it yet, but at the times that I have climbed a tree with it, it's been really nice. So
yeah. So you said you have previously owned a saddle setup before, and you talked about some of the things that you liked with the Arsenal setup. But what are some key differences that you've just really said, okay, yes, they did this right compared to this other company?
Yeah, I think the support. It's the Cloud, so the support is a lot better. It comes higher up the back. My previous saddle, the way that I wore it when I was walking in, it was like a shoulder strap style. That wasn't necessarily my thing. This just has like a cinch down belt. Yeah, and just there's just so many fine details, I guess. Like on the bridge, there's like 0 points, so you can say you get to adjusting it. You can see where it was like factory set, if you will, and kind of look at those engaged. So you don't have this side, 4 inches this way, and this one 2.5 or whatever. You can kind of get it like perfectly square, if you will, which is nice. I like that. And then if you ever want to take it back to kind of factor and restart, it's just like you just slide it up and you know exactly where it is. Yeah. It has 2 big pockets on each side, so you can you could probably fit. You could fit anything you need, I would say, like that in a bino harness, and you would have everything you need right on hand. So I really like those pockets. They zip easy. And then they have so many other things that I don't personally own, but I got to try when we were doing the photo shoot. They have like a little knee belt that's super comfortable. They have aiders, so your first couple steps you can get a lot higher in the tree.
Yep.
And those are pretty sweet. They're like actual steps instead of just a rope that can kind of get pushed into the tree. So I like the way they designed those, and yeah.
What's a knee belt? What are you talking about?
So it comes from like the waist and it comes around your knees, and basically you can it just kind of stabilizes you, and you can either sit up against a tree with it or sit down without. I don't know. It's just
it makes it more like a chair kind of.
Yeah, basically.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah. So
what are the sticks made out of?
to be honest, they're a like a plastic with a metal top with the steps being metal. I don't know what the specific
So like
material
a carbon aluminum mix maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's I don't know the specific material, but yeah.
Yeah. How many sticks?
I have three.
Three. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So they extend. So like they get to like a foot or so, and then they extend and lock open. So they're like, I don't know.
Oh, that's
2 feet.
cool.
Yeah. So they pack down to like nothing. They weigh nothing. Their cleats grab onto trees like no sticks I've ever used. Their platforms. I don't know. You saw the
video.
The video that Carter posted on our story like last night or this morning. But their grip to the tree, the way that they designed that is really impressive. The sticks grab like nothing. Like it just works. It's awesome. Super sturdy. So
I love the extending idea because carrying 4 sticks through the woods is sometimes a pain.
Yeah.
And to be able to limit that down to 3, and if those collapse super tight, you don't have to worry about it. And yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
When you settle hunt, do you typically take down your setup every time? And
yeah. Especially with those sticks, I wouldn't leave those out. It might be a little different with some other sticks, but yeah, usually I have some like presets, if you will, with hang on like the muddy hang on with has the seat and everything. Like I'll saddle hunt out of those that are pre-hung.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah, in some ways I feel kind of like safer because when you're in those, already set up stands and then you have a saddle on top of it, I feel like you're double secure in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
You hooked me up with your buddy Jake Cornish, who
Yeah.
was on the podcast a while back, and he's a big one-stick guy. Have you tried the whole one-stick thing?
I haven't. To be honest, I don't even know how the process works. It is. I don't know. I could.
So
I haven't.
I mean, basically, you have one stick. You climb up. You get to the very top. You lineman belt in, and then I think you even safety strap on top of that, and then you just let your body weight hang down. Then you grab the stick from underneath you and throw it back up, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
And then you can rappel down, which is like the big plus. Guys don't have to climb down; they can rappel down. Listen, I'm fat. I just don't think fat and one sticking go in the same sentence.
I'm just not sure. I mean, with the way that those sticks that I have are, and the way that I can carry those in, I don't see a need for me personally to try and just carry one stick with me when I can, throw 3 up fairly quickly.
Do you loop your sticks on your belt so as you're climbing, you just grab them?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you just grab them.
That's the way to do
Carabiner,
it.
boom, right there. It's awesome. Yeah, they go on the bottom of my pack to walk out, and then when I get there, just unbuckle and clip bump and go. It's awesome. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
We like to thank our sponsors, Chops & Co. Public Market. Chops & Co. specializes in locally grown, responsibly raised, high-quality pork products, direct from their farm to your table. Located in Jones, Michigan, give them a call at 269-244-1999.
And we're back. We're going to jump into, again, one of our favorite segments of the pod, which is where we talk about what the Lord's teaching us. And whenever we have a guest, I love just kind of hearing what's on their heart. And so with Will being here, Will, what has the Lord been putting on your heart recently when it comes to just things of the faith?
Yeah. You texted me earlier today and kind of gave me a heads up. And as I kind of prayed about it, I had some time this evening to pray about it and write some stuff down. And what I've felt the Lord kind of specifically lay on my heart, even just then, was the simplicity of the gospel and the challenge to open your mouth and be the hands and feet of Jesus. I think a lot of time, especially for for men, maybe we look past that, or I guess, so I should kind of narrow that in a little bit. Opening your mouth, right? Evangelizing, talking about the gospel, about the simplicity of the gospel. A couple of key things, but to start, like, I think as a man, it can be tough sometimes to do that, to get out of your comfort zone, to get out of the mundane things of life and branch out. I know it was and still is at times for me to do that. But I also think that the simplicity of the gospel is overlooked sometimes. I think that a lot of times we talk about whether it's like a feel-good message or great messages, but just sometimes look over the gospel, and I feel like there's a lot of people that still need to hear the simple truth of the gospel. So that was what the Lord laid on my heart to share with the listeners, was the simplicity of the gospel. And the simplicity of the gospel starts, I would say, with Jesus coming to earth, right? So in Philippians 2, it says that Jesus humbled himself by coming to earth in the form of a man, and being obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross, which is something hard to grasp. And definitely can't necessarily wrap my head around the God of the universe coming to earth in human form and being perfect and blameless, and then giving his life so that we can live cleanly under his blood. So the Bible also says, and part of the gospel would be that for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And for all, it means me and you and anybody, everybody. And then it also says that for whosoever calls on the name of Jesus will be saved, right? And whosoever is, again, anybody. It's all of us. It's every human. And so the Bible says that if you believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord, you will be saved, and you will be made right in right standing, justified with the Lord, that he will look at you as a son or a daughter, and you will be justified and made in right standing with him. So with that and the simplicity of the gospel, and there's so many other things, and there's the power of the gospel and all those things, but taking that core of the gospel and opening your mouth and being the hands and feet of Jesus is tough and not always easy, and I think that it's easy to come up with excuses, and I think some of those for me and for a lot of people I know is fear of rejection or fear of lack of knowledge, when instead the fear of lack of knowledge should be like, if there's a question you can't answer, it should just push you to grow and to learn, those things and take that as an opportunity. So yeah,
you talk about just how our tendency as men can sometimes be to shy away from those opportunities because we like to be comfortable and this, that, and the other. And I also think, like, sometimes we just get stuck on the surface level so often. And I can think of times where I've shared a hunt with guys, and you never break through the surface conversation. It's always like, oh, what do you do for work? Yeah, this weather's been like this, or what hunt have you been on? How have your hunts been? This, that, the other, and it doesn't actually get to knowing, like, the person's soul and who they are and what their beliefs are and what where their faith and hope is. I've heard somebody say, like, if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, like, you need to, like, consider that every encounter you have with another human is like a divine appointment that the Lord has set before you to interact with that person. And so I think, like, I just get challenged there. Obviously there's been this whole thing with Charlie Kirk and the whole situation that happened, the whole tragedy that happened a couple of weeks ago now, and his memorial service was this past weekend, and I didn't watch all of it. To be honest, not super happy with everything that was, said during that service. I think some of it was a little bit of a disservice to the faith. But one of the things that I thought was dead on and worth re-mentioning and talking about again, and is on this topic, is when one of his mentors got up there and plainly and simply shared the gospel. And he did so by saying, this is not about Charlie Kirk's sacrifice for Jesus Christ. This is about Jesus' sacrifice for Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And that is ultimately the simple gospel truth. Is like, I think so often we can just get freaked out of like, okay, here's this complicated human who has a lot of problems, a lot of sin, has all these different worldviews and beliefs. And so we just take that and we say, I don't even know how to touch that. Like, how to even start? Like, how in the world do I try to show this person Jesus to the point where they drop on their knees and decide to follow him? And I don't think that that's our job or role. Yeah. And I think sometimes we overthink it way too much. Yeah. And, your encouragement, your truth there of just simply share the gospel. Hey, man, I can kind of relate to what you're going through. Not totally, because obviously I'm not walking in your shoes. But can I just tell you about a God who took on flesh and died a terrible death for you and I because he loves us. And he took on the weight of our sin so that we can be reconciled with the ultimate holy God, so we can spend eternity with him. And, if we just take that approach sometimes, I think it really just leaves people speechless of like, wait, let me actually think about the words, the simple words that this guy just said to me to speak into this situation. And we then, plant that seed and allow the Holy Spirit to water it and to work in those moments.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say and get into is, as you'd said, the divine appointment, or just you never know, maybe what you say might change someone's life forever, and it's not at all our power, or it's the simple obedience and understanding of the gospel and the fruit of our faith to live as Christ and spread the gospel, but then also let the Lord grow the seeds that we have planted. 1 Corinthians 3:7 says, "So neither he who plants nor he who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth," which I think is just, I think it's a great verse to, almost a comforting verse. It kind of takes the weight off your shoulders. It's like, okay, I've planted this seed, I've watered this seed, I've poured into this person, but God is ultimately responsible. The Holy Spirit is ultimately responsible, and has the real power to grow him or her into a true son and daughter of Christ. So
yeah, and there's people that are going to be like the hard soil or the rocky soil.
Yeah.
But there's people who are ready to receive that truth and are just waiting for somebody to break the ice.
Yeah.
I remember I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago at this point, I received a phone call from one of my buddies who's connected in the outdoor industry. And he asked me, hey, are you guys on any birds? And at that exact moment, we were in this honey hole that was just producing great hunt after great hunt. And I said, yeah, why are you asking? He goes, well, with this company, they're trying to film this hunt. So there's this film crew and this more well-known hunter that, are trying to get on some birds. Do you think you can help out? I'm like, well, you have my ear, because this sounds like a really cool opportunity. So long story short, the famous hunter ends up not being necessarily a famous hunter, but just somewhat connected to this other outdoors company. And it is more of an honorary hunter in the sense of he was a vet, and they were, doing something with him in the company and highlighting, his years in the military service. So it's like, okay, we can still get behind this. We'll still do it or whatever. So we take, this group of guys out hunting, and there's this film crew that flew in from down south. There's a couple other local guys that are tied into this outdoor company, and then this guest hunter. And Joe and I are with them. And I remember before the hunt, we have everything set up. We're sitting in the blind. And I just said out loud, I said, hey, before we start our hunt, like, you guys mind if we pray? And a couple of them were excited about it, and you could tell a couple of them were like, really? Like,
Yeah.
what does it matter? Type thing. And so we prayed and just gave God the glory for the hunt. And I'll never forget, after the hunt, the guy who was kind of, the honorary hunter, the vet, said something to us of just something along the lines of like, hey, I'm also a believer and follower of Christ, and I really just appreciate what you guys did in that moment to stop and give pause and to invite the Lord into this moment. And we ended up Skyping with him or Zooming with him a couple months later just to hear his testimony and story, and which was absolutely wild. And he sent us a couple duck calls, but Joe was able to kind of speak into his life some more and just help navigate some things with him. But just that opportunity of like, okay, let's live how we're called to live, and to be somewhat bold in that moment. Not saying that was by my own strength or whatever, but just then how the Lord uses that and turns that into, for his glory. And who knows, maybe that conversation or that prayer was able to spark something in those other guys that eventually they'll be ready to seek the Lord as well. Yeah,
for sure. Definitely planted those seeds. And a lot of times I think when I'm evangelizing and talking to people and get shut down, I like to think maybe they think about it when they're going to bed or later in their day, and just plant that seed. So maybe in 10 years, they'll think about it again, or it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I had to think, like, I'm always overthinking what people say sometimes. I'm always like decompressing and thinking about my day, and it's like, this person said this. I wonder what they meant by that. Yeah. So maybe someone's thinking about me in the same way. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm. Well, hey, thanks for listening to this week's episode. Thanks to Will for hopping on the podcast. Hopefully Old Buck gets better here soon and can start breathing out of his nose. But we will catch you next week. Hunting season is, good night. Bow opener will be next week.
Heck yeah.
So
still fired up. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
You're going to sit in your Arsenal saddle.
I'm going to be so comfortable in my Arsenal saddle.
Shout out Arsenal. We're not sponsored or partnered with them at all, but if you're a Michigan company specifically and you make a great product, I'm happy to talk about you. And so I'm glad Will has some information for us. If you're looking for a saddle, check out Arsenal Saddle.
For sure.
Sounds like a great package. So cool. We'll catch you next week.